Hey everyone, Hiawatha Productions here. Welcome back to another video. So as you can see, I am not in my usual place for recording videos. The room I'm in is completely different. And that is because I am now in college. I've just started my freshman year of college. I'm not going to say where for my own privacy, but I'm going for a major in pre-vet. Hopefully I can get into vet school and then become an ophthalmologist. That's the goal. Is it going to change? Hopefully not. But regardless, that's not why you're here. You're here to see me review some stuff. So, if I just reach back behind me, you will see what we will be reviewing. So, I've had one of these for a fair amount of time now at this point, but I got two more very, very recently, and I decided to go ahead and do a review of all three of them at once. I have a lot of other models that I'm going to be reviewing as well, but rather than clumping them all into one video, I'm going to give each their own separate review based off of, what type they are. So, in this review, we are going to be looking at, if I can get them organized, there we go. We're going to be looking at some of Oxford Rail's 7-plank wagons. As you can see up at the top, we have one of their newest additions to their 7-plank wagons, the Northeastern Railway liveried version. The one in the middle that says Kobo, that's the first one that I got. You would have seen it in some of the shorts that I have uploaded on the channel almost a year ago now. Not sure. In any case, finally, the one at the bottom is a weathered BR gray 7-plank wagon with Oxford Rail's weathering on it. I have only taken the Kobo one out of the box because, like I said, I've had it for a fair amount of time now. Haven't gotten around to reviewing it until today, but I kept it in good condition, so there's no scratches or anything on it. As for the other two, obviously the Northeastern one's brand new, never been taken out of the box. And then the BR Gray one, that is a pre-owned model that I purchased off of Rails of Sheffield, which is also where I got the Northeastern wagon. Very, very great retailer. I could highly recommend them. If I remember, I will put a link to their website in the description of this video. But in any case, we are going to open these up and take a closer look at them. Probably gonna readjust the camera for this bit just to make filming easier. I'm just gonna put the boxes down on the floor for now. I'll deal with them in a minute. Getting back to what I had said earlier, I'm in a completely different place. I've started college. I'm not in a dorm. I am in an apartment off campus because all of the housing was full. I have a roommate, really nice guy. His identity will be kept secret for his sake. But yeah, I'm getting these out and these look really, really sharp. There's actually a couple things about them that I did notice. I'm gonna put this one up here so you can get a good look at it. Really, really nice. Livery application from what I've seen is perfect. Like, there's no scratches on it or anything like that. I saw a little bit of dust, but that's probably from me, so I'm not gonna worry about that too much. But yeah, this looks really, really sharp. Anyways, I'm going to readjust the camera angle so we can go ahead and get a closer look at these guys. So I will be right back. All right, we're back. So camera's readjusted. Now we can get a better look at these guys. So we are going to, we're gonna start off by looking at the Kobo 7-plank wagon, since I've had this one the longest. Let me actually get it in frame so you guys can see it. So livery application on this model is really, really crisp. When I first looked at it, I couldn't really find any sort of scratches on it or anything like that. One thing that I will say is it's more prominent. Yeah, it's more prominent on this side. Now, this could just be because of the way how they painted it at the factory, but there are little gray spots around the rivets. My apologies for the camera's poor focus. I'm recording this on my phone. I don't have a camera yet. But anyways, yeah, if you look closely, you can see like gray rings surrounding the rivets, which it's not the end of the world in my opinion. But yeah, that's really the only thing that I have to say about this model specifically. Other than that, everything actually looks really, really nice. The inside of it is also painted a really nice brown color, really gives off that wood effect. They've even did the detailing at the bottom for the slots to drop the load out, which I think is amazing. Obviously, we have NEM tension lock couplings. They can pivot just a little bit, but they don't really need to. The buffers, we've got metal buffers. Obviously, they're not sprung, but I'm not too nitpicky about that, especially on wagons. With locomotives that have a high price tag, that's where I would tend to draw the line, but I do not expect such a premium feature on wagons like these that don't really cost too much in my opinion. If you look closely here, you can see all of the brake detail. All of the levers and rods and stuff are very, very fine pieces, but they don't feel super flimsy or fragile either. Everything is to scale, which I think is absolutely amazing. The wheels are also very, very free rolling. I love getting to just set this wagon down on the line and just let it roll, see how far it can go. And if we look here at the underframe detail, everything there looks immaculate as well. I don't know if I'm the first to actually point this out. I'm probably not, but I have not seen anyone else point this out. But if you look, let me see if I can, yeah, the camera's not focusing today. But if you look up here behind the buffers, then you can see spring molding behind the buffers. So they designed the chassis to mimic the actual springs that would be on the frames of these wagons to allow the buffers to spring in real life, which I think is really nice attention to detail. Oxford has done a really good job on this one. Now we're going to move on to the weathered version. Livery application on this model is very crisp, just like the other one. Not much else to really say about it. One thing that I do really like, I think it's really great attention to detail, is having the separately fitted rod up here across the top behind the wood planking, which is something that I did not point out on the previous one. I just remembered it now. Underframe detail and the brake rodding detail is pretty much the same. They even did the white lining around the wheels, despite the fact that this is a weathered variant, which I think is actually really, really nice attention to detail. Some of the weathering did get on the wheels, but I'm not too worried about that. It's not going to impact ride quality at all on this model. The inside, perfectly clean. Me personally, if a wagon is going to be weathered, then I feel like they should do some sort of weathering on the inside. Because if you just have it done on the outside and you want to run this as an empty wagon, it seems a little bit garish of sorts to just have a completely clean internal while the outside looks like you just, you know, hauled it out of a waste dump or something. But yeah, other than that, it looks really, really nice. I'm very impressed with this one. Yeah. They have a fairly decent weight on them as well. I've never had any issues with them derailing or coming off the track at any point. So weight's perfectly fine on them. There was something that I was thinking of that I was going to mention, but I seem to have forgotten it. probably wasn't important. Anywho, we're going to move on to the third and final variant of the 7-plank wagons, which is the Northeastern version, the Northeastern 12-ton version. I really love this wagon. Let me get it in frame a little better. I really, really love this thing. This is my first time getting it out of the box, and I personally think it looks amazing. Livery application is absolutely immaculate. All of the printed details and stuff have been put on very, very nicely. There's no scratches, no bubbles or anything like that. Everything has just been applied really, really nicely. I love the white stripe that goes across the wagon as well. I think it adds a nice splash of color to the gray body, makes it stand out really nicely. Metal buffers, again, underframe detail, the exact same as the other two. Yeah, this is absolutely awesome. I also really love how they didn't just use the same tooling for this model. If you look up here, if you look up there, you can see the separately fitted handrail that goes across the front of the wagon here. If you compare that with one of the other two, you will see that that rod is actually covered up by the wood planking. Now, I don't know whether or not that is to represent different eras or just slightly different design variations between the 7-plank wagons, but I personally feel that that's really great attention to detail. It really shows that, you know, you're paying decent prices for what I consider to be premium models, and they're not just taking the same tooling and then slapping a whole bunch of different liveries onto it. They actually take the time to give design variations between some of them, which I think is actually really great on Oxford Rail to be doing that for us. One thing that I have noticed with the LNER version, which I personally think is a little bit of a shame, is if you look closely, you can see that the sides here are warped slightly. It's bowing towards the middle. It's not too noticeable from a side view. In fact, you can't really notice it at all, but if you're looking at it from a top profile, you can. And this is not a very prominent issue on the other two that I have. They're comparatively straighter up along the sides. But apart from that, I don't really think there's anything else negative that I can say about these models. So, well done, Oxford. You've done an amazing job with these. I've been wanting to collect more Oxford Rail wagons, and to have the opportunity to do so now and also get to review them is honestly a very nice experience for me. I actually have two of their engines. One's the N7 in the GER gray, the other's the J27 in the lined black. Sadly, the N7 doesn't work. Something wrong with the motor. It ran fine for a while. I don't know what's wrong with it. Now I'm thinking about either getting a replacement locomotive and selling that one off, or just getting a replacement chassis. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. It's not about the engines, no, it's about the wagons, where we're giving these guys some love and attention today. Yeah, so I think that's about it for the close-up look of these models. I am going to go ahead and get the loop of track I've got behind me set up and powered up, and we are going to give, my apologies. We are going to give the two new additions a break and run, and we're also going to do a bit of a rolling test to see if there's any sort of rolling resistance on these models, because I've been pushing them around and they don't really seem to be all that stiff. They move very freely, but we won't know what they can do until we put them down on the tracks. So enough rambling, let's go ahead and get these guys down on the track and give them a good run-in. All right, so I've got the track all set up now for the rolling test. This is gonna be very short because as soon as this is over with, we are gonna get some running shots with these lovely things behind my J27 and some of my other open wagons that I have in the collection. First, we are going to start off with the Northeastern one, brand new, hasn't been run on the track before, so let's just give it a little push. And as you can see, there's a slight downhill over here up along the carpet. Yes, I am running this on fluffy carpet. I'm setting a horrible example for the model railway and model railroad community, but I don't care because I'm just working with what I've got. But yeah, these aren't particularly heavy, so the fact that it's able to just very slowly move back like that is honestly very impressive. Now we're going to test out the one that I've had for a little while now, the Kobo wagon. Little push. Again, rolls back nice and smoothly. A little bit slower than the other one, but still pretty free rolling, all things considered. All right, now let's try the BR one. Did it just get... There we go. There's a break in the track here, so it just got stuck. But this one seems to have actually rolled back down the line a little bit faster than the other two did. Or maybe it's about the same. Maybe I'm just crazy. Aren't we all? Anyways, so yeah, rolling resistance on these guys is not an issue at all. They're very free rolling. I'm actually going to try just pushing all of them at once, see what happens. Up the line, and they start rolling back down. Yeah, these are great. Right. So I'd give these a very, very good score on rolling resistance. Anyways, I'm going to get out my J27 and a few more of my wagons, and we're going to set a little train up. I'll be right back. All right, so now it's time to present my final thoughts on these models. So overall, I cannot fault Octarail for quality control. I didn't really find any issues with any of these wagons, including this one, which, as previously mentioned, I've had for a while. If I had one negative thing to say, it would probably be the livery application of the black paint on this wagon right here, because as you can see, the rivets did not get fully covered and there is a little bit of a gray spot surrounding them. But other than that, everything is just as it should be. Now, this one was a gift, so I can't really put a price tag on it, but these two, I paid whatever the retail price was on rails, so anywhere between, it was between, I think this was 12 pounds, maybe 14. This was about 10, 12. So around, let's just say $16 each for each wagon. That's not really all that bad in my opinion, especially for what you're getting here. One other thing that I forgot to mention was the warping on this wagon, but it's not too noticeable, so it's not the end of the world. but I am thoroughly impressed with these models right here. And the more I look at them, the more I notice more things about them that I actually find very intriguing. Not just the fact that the tooling has some slight detail variations, but also the livery. If you compare the inside of the LNER wagon to the BR1 and the Kobo one, it is not just a respray of the same shade of brown. On the LNER variant, it's a much lighter brown. Now, I don't know if they just happen to use the same paint and maybe had like a different layer of primer underneath it to adjust the shade, but regardless, that, in my opinion, is really, really nice attention to detail. Again, they're not just taking the same model, painting it up in the same color, and then adding little extra bits to it, and classifying it as a different model. They actually put in a lot of effort to their models, and I am thoroughly impressed with these. So overall, I would give these a solid rating of 9.5 out of 10. I would give them a 10 out of 10 if it weren't for the very minor quality control issues with the livery application and obviously the warping up along the sides here. Again, I'm not too worried about that, but I feel like that is something that manufacturers should look out for, especially with more premium models like this that are meant for modelers and aren't necessarily meant to be children's toys. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to say about these guys. Firstly, I would like to say thank you all for watching the video, and I'd like to apologize for the lack of content as of recent. Again, lots of things going on. I have more videos in the works, actually. I'll be reviewing some more Oxford Rail stuff, as well as one Bachmann product. You'll see what those are in the not so distant future. I'll be working on all of them in conjunction with this video that you're watching right here. Yeah, so once again, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, leave a comment, and also subscribe to the channel as well so you can see more interesting content like this where I do reviews and just show off things that I like. Anywho, this is Hiawatha Productions signing off. I'll see you guys in the next one.